Hi Tarot Tribe, it's Ethany, and today I wanted to share with you some of my tips for reading tarot at fairs, markets, and events. And these are tips that I have learned through experience over the years. I blogged about this way back in 2010. Can you believe that it's 7 years ago? So I wanted to update the list for you all and add a few things that I missed off from that list and some specific things that are you're going to maybe run into or want to consider for specific types of events if you're wanting to read at fairs or markets or events. I have read at a number of fairs, a number of markets, and a ton of events over the years, under the many moons that I have been reading tarot. Psychic fairs were actually where I got most of my face-to-face experience in the beginning before I started to work from stores on a regular basis. They were a wonderful way to start, and those experiences did get me booked for several events such as corporate holiday parties, corporate events, bachelorette parties, or as we call them in Oz, hens nights. I've also worked at baby blessings, kitchen teas, afternoon teas, book launches, all sorts of fun things. And I've even seen a fellow tarot reader of mine and friend in Australia read at an IKEA opening. There's a tarot everywhere. So not every tarot reader will want to read at events though. And do know that this is totally cool if this isn't your jam. I don't believe in trying to force ourselves into any situation that is going to block our intuition, block our connection, make us feel uncomfortable, stress us out. Crowds aren't for everyone. In that environment is not for everyone either. So if you feel like it's not for you, then that's fine as well. And as with everything I share, take what resonates with you and leave the rest. So let's jump into my tips for getting the most out of reading at fairs and taking care of yourself in the process. Now, the first 4 tips are specifically designed to be applicable for reading at fairs. The first one is to get your Sherlock on and Sherlock Holmes that shit. Seriously, research the event and even visit one if you have a chance before you hand your cash over or you click book a table. I have been very lucky and maybe even a little smart when booking with fairs. The fairs that I worked at were popular and were run by professionals that were organized and also promoted and marketed their fairs, which showed up in the turnout and interaction I had with the organizers. So if you are working with a company that will not do any promotion, then that's an added step you're going to have to do. If you are working with an organization or a person that is going to promote the fair, then that is going to help you for sure. If you're working with someone who's been doing this a while and has a good track record, then you're probably going to have a nicer experience. Likewise, I have been to very big events like the Mind, Body, Soul Expos in Australia, and I know there's some of them in North America, and the Every Woman Expo, and I decided that those environments were not for me. It was very expensive to have a booth. I would have needed to be working non-stop to make my money back, and it was really, really big and just like too much for me. So I knew that it was like not a good idea. And I was also working full time at the time. So the idea of taking 2 days off to do the fairs on top of, so I would have worked Monday to Thursday, my normal job, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or even sometimes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then gone back to work, I would have been exhausted. So those are things that you have to kind of take into consideration. The second one is to do the math. Calculate how many readings you would have to do per day to cover your costs before you make a choice. If you have a table that is going to cost you a lot of money, then ensure that at least you are covering your expenses. These events are fantastic for local marketing, so that alone may be enough for you to part with your money, but exposure doesn't pay your bills either. So make an informed money choice. My third tip is to keep your offers simple. You don't want the list of readings you're offering at a fair or market to be so long that it turns people away or confuses people. Make it easy for people to see what they're going to be getting. Stick to one of these as a suggestion just to make your life easier. Make your offers timed, so 15 to 20 minutes, or by card, 1 card reading, 3 card reading, 5 card reading, or by question, 1 question, 2 questions, 3 questions. Whatever you feel comfortable with, choose that and stick with it. And also with the card ones, if you are doing card or question, also make sure that there is a time limit there, because as we know, we can really get into it with the tarot and with our clients. So you want to make sure that you're moving the line along, and that you're getting to meet with other people. So say someone comes, I'm not trying to be dismissive of your clients, but say for example, someone comes for a 5 card reading and you're there for an hour and a half for that one payment, then you've essentially given them, 3 20-minute readings for one price, if that makes sense. So do some math and keep your offers as simple as possible to help everybody. The fourth tip is to socialize. Say hello and introduce yourself to the other readers at fairs. A lot of people will know each other at these events. I found that to be very true. People who are on the circuit, who have done this for a very long time, will all know each other. I always arrived really early to get set up well before the doors would open and say hello to people. A practice that I loved doing at fairs was having a little box of my money magic manifestation cards, and I would go around to every vendor, and I've done this at markets too, every vendor or every reader, and people who were there maybe to say hello early, and I would give them a card. I would be like, pick a card for today. That can be your money mantra for today. And it was a really nice way to kind of abundance boost the area and also just say hello to people and get to know people. Plus, when you got to pee, if you make nice to your neighbors, they're going to help you and look after your stall while you're away. So my next few tips are for reading at private events. And the first one is super important. Get paid and get it in writing. Make sure you have your agreement with the person you have been liaising with in writing, and get a deposit that is non-refundable. People will drop out from things like bachelorette parties. It has happened to me a million times. You go, someone wants you to read for 15 people, then all of a sudden it's 8. And if you haven't put a package together where you're covered for your time, even if Susie and Betty get gastro and can't come, then you're wearing that as a business cost. You would have blocked out your time. You could have organized babysitters. There's lots of things that go into making sure you're available for those nights that are usually social nights, like a Friday or a Saturday night. So make sure that you take that into consideration. I also have a fee in my agreements for overtime. So kind of like a basic package for me would be 3 hours or 2 hours, depending on how many people. And if the event runs over the 3 hours they booked me for, I charge per half hour after that. And that is, again, really important. And I'm just super upfront and super casual about it as well. And just say, look, our time's running out. If you want me to stay, then the after hours clause is going to kick in. And then, if I finish all my readings, and I've had this happen as well, especially if it's people that I've known through friends or through family or through work, I've also stayed and socialized, and clearly that's not a part of the work. So just make sure your time is being accounted for. My second tip is one that I live by for events, which is get out before it gets messy. If there's alcohol at these events, and a lot of the times there is, and there's nothing wrong with that, it is highly recommended that you get the readings done before everyone gets too drunk to read for. Being a sober tarot reader in a room full of people off their face and not taking anything you're saying in can lead you to feeling frustrated. I have been there. Plus, I don't personally want anyone spilling red wine on my tarot deck. I would not be a very happy camper, or champagne or anything for that matter. As a rule for what I do for events is I will show up pretty close to the event start. So say it's a Christmas party, which I've done many of those before for a corporate event, and it starts at 6:30 and it goes until whenever. I will usually read, at 6:45 until say, 9 or 8:45, 2 to 3 hours, and then I'll be out because by that point I figure people are getting a little bit tipsy. My third tip for reading at private events is to keep it light and fun. Now, don't throw hate my way for saying this, but most of the time you are there at these type of events for entertainment and insight, not the other way around. If people have some heavy, life-changing things that come up, and it will happen, suggest to them that they can book with you another day for a more in-depth reading. There is a total difference between saying this to everyone to coax them into booking with you again and honestly recommending that a party is not the best time to decide whether someone should leave their wife or not. So don't be surprised if in a wider environment, not everyone is going to take you seriously, especially at corporate events. Fairs are a little different because people tend to know what they're coming for. Corporate events, not so much. Private parties, people tend to be a lot more respectful as well. But at corporate events, I've been hit on. I've had people tell me that tarot reading is a joke, but it has been rare. And when it does happen, I just remain professional and smile and just say thanks for your unsolicited advice. Usually I don't say anything actually because I'm a mouthy Gemini and I don't really want to get in trouble. Just smile and nod, That's nice. Fucker. Okay, so my next bunch is I've got 9 quick tips for all events. The first one is to stay hydrated. I know I'm going to sound like your witchy mom telling you to drink your water, but it's true. Man, I've had dehydration headaches at fairs, and I also find that because we're working with such high vibes and we are also surrounding ourselves with people who are healers and readers, that can even add on top of that to make it a really intense environment. So make sure that you keep a bottle with you during the day, sip away, just take a break, take a pee break in between readings. As I mentioned before, if you do know someone at the fair, or you can have someone cover you at your stall while you're in the bathroom, and take your money pouch with you. It's pretty easy. I found that communities will look after each other, so it's pretty good. So just stay hydrated, tea, water, all those good things for your body. The second one is to energetically protect yourself. So this is more about protecting yourself energetically, as there's usually a lot of energy in conference rooms where these fairs are held. Take the time to protect yourself before, during, and after the day. I love my aura sprays. I've got them like all over the place. It's a quick way of protecting yourself during the day. Being aware of your energy is key. Keeping your energy under control if you need to release things. If someone has come to you with a bunch of baggage, just make sure you're releasing that. I use aura sprays, meditation, and connection with my guides before the event. Crystals on my table, and crystals specifically chosen for their purposes. And I have a good salt bath or salt scrub when I get home. And I usually will sage and smoke ceremony myself as well to de-stress at the end of the day. I actually have a bunch of videos and tutorials about protecting yourself, grounding and protecting after a reading, and psychic and energetic protections. So I'll put the link over at ethany.com in the transcription for you if you want to check that out. The third tip is to remain confident. So don't take it personally if people don't choose you for a reading. It could actually have been a wonderful stroke of luck. There are many people to choose from at fairs, and usually clients always find the right person for the right reason. Trust your abilities and that you're going to read for the right people. And on top of that, I usually ask my guides at the beginning of the day when I connect with them during my protection and connection, is to send the right people to me if I'm at a fair. I only want the people that I will vibe with and that I can help. So that's a nice little way to set your intentions for the day. The fourth one is to snack. So if you get, we talked about hydrating, now you're going to talk about fueling your body. So if you get a lunch break, that's great, but I don't recommend going out and having a huge meal at a fair or eating a lot at an event. I find personally it upsets my energy and upsets my stomach, so I don't really do it. I found that snacking during the day, on like trail mix, nuts, fruit, things like that will really help your blood sugar levels and your mood be more stable. And I also would highly recommend eating before a party event or corporate event as well, because it's not guaranteed you're going to get fed. I mean, I've been fed at those things, but you don't want to be starving and having your tummy grumble while everyone's enjoying their event and you're like, oh my God, I need food. So take the time to eat. The fifth one is to make a list. Make a list of everything you're going to need to take with you and, like Santa, check that shit twice. I've turned up to an event and forgotten my business cards before. True story. And I found I was writing my website address on the back of like pamphlets and things, so it's not the most ideal, situation. While forgetting things happens, you can minimize it by being prepared. The sixth one is to inspire. So rock out your space and make it somewhere you would want to hang out in. You don't have to spend a lot of money to set up salt lamps and crystals and statues and all those sorts of things, but anything to make it feel a little bit inspiring and lovely and warm for you, you're going to be in this space all day, is a really good idea. I take a full bag of things, including a tablecloth, reading cloths and crystals, and sometimes little statues, depending on what kind of setup I want for my table at events. The seventh tip is marketing material. Take lots and lots of business cards and make sure that you have your contact details and website and any social media links that you're a part of. Also, kindly suggest that people who have readings with you take a couple of cards to their friends. Referrals are so powerful. The eighth one is something that I have found to be really, really important, which is to reflect. So at the end of the day, if you can take some time, even if it's just when you're soaking in your bath or you're meditating, I usually do it through my journal. I take some time to reflect on the day. Sometimes I don't remember a thing that has been said in a reading. Sometimes I remember a lot. Sometimes things really hit home. But I like to journal and just kind of get it out. So I'm not holding on to anything emotionally or mentally for the day as well. If you don't have a journal, you're not a writer, find a mentor or someone that you can talk to that is not going to obviously mouth around about it. But it's nice to just kind of decompress and reflect from the end of the day and release anything that you may want to from your mind space. And the ninth one, the final one, is to have fun. What is it all for, Basil, if it's not for having fun? Enjoy your time and do this because you love being of service and helping people. People often come to see us readers or healers when they really need something, and I think it's our responsibility to make sure that we're there being a positive force in their lives. Sometimes events don't allow us to get in deep, but even if I can make someone smile, I'm a bit cheeky, even if I can make someone smile or lift their spirits for a moment in that day, and then they can come to me later for a more in-depth reading, I feel like I've, been a bit of a positive influence and help lighten their load a little bit. So those are my pro tips for reading tarot at fairs, markets, and events. So what do you recommend to people who want to start reading at fairs or events? Or what have you learnt over the years? Did I miss something glaringly obvious? Maybe. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching.